Then across the river there would be the original, or I should say Reno's second post office and federal building, which was erected in 1909 on the north bank of the Truckee River, just across from where we are now. Next to that, the 1911 YMCA, which was also designed by Frederick de Longchamps. On the site then, the Carnegie Library, the city had outgrown its library. It was a pretty small library, although a very beautiful one in the Beaux-Arts style. But the city had at this point been outgrowing some of its earlier civic institutions, including that original post office and federal building and the Carnegie Library here. So the holdings from the library were moved in 1930 into the state building that was here on this site, leaving the library vacant. There had been an effort to try to save the building. It was being offered to anyone who could pay for the cost of just relocating it somewhere, but no one had the funds to do that. So they actually demolished the library in 1931.
And so in 1934 is when this building was built, and what kind of style is this?
The building is a version of the Art Deco modern style that was very popular from the 1920s to the 1940s. Art Deco, that term comes from the Decorative Arts Exposition in Paris in 1925, which was in turn inspired by the 1922 discovery of King Tut's tomb, which had a lot of these very intricate zigzag designs and a lot of ornate detailing. So this is a version of that, and there's sort of an Art Deco is the earlier style of the period, which was usually more of a vertical style. The modern, which is in that later period, was more horizontal, which is what this building basically consists of, is more of a horizontal type styling. It's made of terracotta that's incised to look like quarry stone, but has a lot of those very familiar Art Deco elements, a lot of this zigzag features that you can see on the marquee that's above the doors. Also, these panels that are inside the windows, those two-story windows, are a very familiar sunburst pattern with a zigzag pattern inside of it. Also, above those window bays, you see some very ornate fretwork that goes horizontally all along the building. And then if you get on the top above where the doorways are, these entry salients are topped by an eagle with outstretched wings, which is a very familiar Art Deco theme that you see with federal buildings that are constructed during this period. The actual style, too, is kind of a modified version of the Art Deco modern because during this period, a lot of the federal buildings that use this kind of style weren't as ornate as sort of a traditional Art Deco would be. So the style becomes known as a starved classical. It's sort of a simplified version. What's great to notice when you walk in the vestibule are these details of these figures that are above the door on the inside that are symbols of progress. And they're the same in all the different entrances for the building. On one side is an airplane, on the other side is a man with wings, the kind of figure that you see at Hoover Dam, for instance. Very a sign of progress and everything that we've accomplished. What's great about the inside here is you really get that exuberance of the Art Deco. And what really comes to mind here is the fact that this was planned so specifically for a post office. This is the only post office in the state that is in this Art Deco modern style. And it's also just one of the finest examples of the Art Deco modern style in the state in general, any kind of building. What you see are these really intricacies of a lot of the repeated patterns. You see a lot of the eagles, here not with the outstretched wings, but with the other style of wings that are above all the different detailing here. And it's a functioning post office, so you also have a lot of specific counter spaces that have, again, that aluminum decor with very intricate detailing that are used for a very utilitarian purpose. The black marble of the walls and the kind of dark terrazzo floor really set off that gleam of the aluminum that's used throughout for the decoration inside. You see a lot of repeated then sunburst patterns, the sunburst and the zigzag that are on top of the entryways as well, repeating from those spandrels that were in the dark terracotta on the outside of the building. And then other figures of the eagles throughout. What's really interesting to note too is really the intricacy of how the zigzag pattern is established throughout, not only on the countertops, but even incised into the black marble on the walls. There's some other really interesting features around the corner, but before we get there, I want to make sure that we look up and see the bands, the detailing of these abstract designs that are along the top toward the ceiling, that are again showing that real intricacy of design that we see throughout the interior especially. What's also really remarkable to notice about this is how little has been changed since 1934 in the interior, just enough to make sure that it can actually service as a functioning post office now, which it does as the downtown station, now that it was replaced as the main station by another larger post office that's further south in Reno. Frederick de Longchamps was really a master of so many different architectural styles, having designed this building, but also, as we saw, the Washoe County Courthouse in a neoclassical style, the Riverside Hotel in a Gothic Revival style, and here incorporating the Art Deco with all of these incredible detail. So you really see that implemented throughout the building on the inside here, from the incredible detail on the elevator doors in this aluminum to the areas that are surrounding the post office boxes here with borders on the outside of the boxes, and then in a very detailed, intricate sense around each box itself, and even around the keyhole you get a little floral design there. So that's incorporated throughout to create this larger sense of structure, but with that little type of detail that really provides an extra touch. Also embedded within the marble, the black marble walls here, you see these little aluminum shields that have sort of a federal star symbol. And again, when you look closer, the intricacy of how tiny that design is really gives an extra touch to that wall and adds to the glow of the entire interior, which is beautifully elegant and exuberant Art Deco look. Standing in this post office, you really see the beauty of the kind of decor and the attention to detail that we don't see in a lot of modern buildings that are constructed today. So I really encourage anyone to come into the post office here, even if you don't have to deliver a letter, just to look at the interior and get a glimpse into Reno's past in a way that some of the newer buildings, don't demonstrate as well. It's a gorgeous building. It helps contribute really to that sense of place for residents who live here. And outside the window, as you can see with the context where we are, that it's a much more modern scene outdoors. So it's really in the inside of some of these buildings that you can really see that connection to the past. I encourage you, as you walk around the state, to try to find the older buildings that deserve some more attention, whether it's a post office or a city hall. These places you might not expect are going to have some of the most beautiful connections to our past.
Please join us in preserving and celebrating our state's colorful heritage. Call 775-684-3448 or visit us at nevadaculture.org. Besides administering grants, the Preservation Office maintains state and national registers of historic places and runs the State Historic Marker Program. The Preservation Office is part of the Nevada Department of Cultural Affairs, along with the State Library and Archives, Nevada Arts Council, and Division of Museums and History. Through these agencies, the state of Nevada offers a wealth of cultural programs for residents and visitors alike. We invite you to check out our website or call 775-687-8323 in Carson City. And see you next time on Exploring Nevada.